Hello and welcome to the What a Deck profile for the 77 Gimmick Dynamite deck, brought to you by Patreon sponsor Lucas Wilson, who suggested this deck. I'm just going to go through everything in here and then I'll explain how it works. So we've got 2 Gimmick Puppet Shadow Feeler, 3 Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll, 3 Gearspring Spirit, 2 Machina Cannon, 3 Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll, 3 Card D, 3 Gimmick Puppet Gear Changer, 3 Swift Scarecrow, and 3 Battle Fader for the spells, 3 Trade-In, 3 Junk Puppet, 3 Lightning Vortex, 3 Twin Twister, and 3 Stoic Challenge. We have no traps because this is a very aggressive deck. For the extra deck, we have 2 number 77 The Seven Sins, 2 number 84 Pain Gainer, 1 number 22 Zombie Stein, 1 number 88 Gimmick Puppet of Leo, 1 Googly Eyes Drum Dragon, 1 Heretic Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis, 2 number 40 Gimmick Puppet of Strings, 1 Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, 1 number 23 Lancelot Ghost Knight of the Underworld, 1 number 15 Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder, 1 Magical Sea Castle Aegeon, and 1 Slacker Magician, the side deck I'll go over in a moment. So the point with this deck, it has a very specific combo you want to do, which is the number 77 The Seven Sins with Stoic Challenge. So Stoic Challenge says, equip only to a face-up Exci monster that has material. It gains 600 attack for every material attached to monsters you control, and any battle damage it does to an opponent's monster is doubled. Its effects can't activate. During your opponent's end phase, send this card to the graveyard. When this card leaves the field, destroy the monster. That second half isn't important. The important part is it gains attack, and the battle damage is doubled. Because when you equip it to the Seven Sins, it'll go up to 6,400 attack, which means if your opponent has a monster with 2,400 attack or less, and you attack it, you will do 8,000 damage to it. So you were going to, like, it is OTK City. And that's made even better by we have this monster in here called Gearspring Spirit that can target a monster your opponent controls and make its attack 0 until the end phase. So if you happen to get this, and then you make their attack 0 and attack it, you're doing 12,800 damage. Just absolutely devastating. So, how do you make the Seven Sins? Well, you can summon this on top of a rank 10 or 11 Dark Exci monster. We have our rank 11 right here with Pain Gainer. You can summon this onto a rank 8, 9, or 10 Dark Exci monster, which we have with Gimmick Puppet of Strings. Gimmick Puppet of Strings can be summoned by all the Gimmick Puppets, and we play a lot of them. It's a kind of basic Gimmick Puppet engine. I do mine a little bit differently. There's a whole bunch of different combos you can use to get this. We have Shadow Feeler and Dreary Doll. Both of these you want in the graveyard. Shadow Feeler, when you take damage from an attack, you can summon it from the graveyard. You take another 1,000 damage, and it can't be destroyed by battle that turn. So it's kind of a decent stall. It's not the best, which is why we only play 2. Dreary Doll says you can just banish a Gimmick Puppet from your graveyard to special summon it from your graveyard. So to get these in the graveyard, that's why we play the Twin Twister and the Lightning Vortex, just to blow up spells, traps, monsters. I just went for massive destruction. You could easily swap this out for something like a Karma Cut if you want, but I did that in the last deck I did, so I wanted to change it up a little bit. Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll says if your opponent controls a monster and all you control is Gimmick Puppets, you could special summon this from your hand. So if you have one of these 2 out, you can summon this. Gear Changer, your only normal summonable Gimmick Puppet. You can target a Gimmick Puppet and its level becomes that level. So if you get any of these out on the field, you can make this into a level 8. Normally, if you normal summon this, then you can special summon Magnet Doll, make him 8, and there's your 2 rank 8s. Gearspring Spirit, if all the monsters in your graveyard are machine-type monsters, you could special summon this. And all the Gimmick Puppets are machine-type monsters. Card D, which is our draw power, is machine-type. Swift Scarecrow is machine-type. The only thing that's not machine-type in this entire deck is Battle Fader, but when Battle Fader leaves the field, it's banished, so you don't have to worry about this messing up your graveyard. And this is also the one that can make their attack 0, so pretty nice. Machina Cannon, you can discard a machine-type monster to special summon it. It gains 800 attack for each monster you discard. That's not important. The important part is it's level 8. It lets you discard your Dreary Dolls and your Shadow Feelers, which is again why we only played it 2, because it doesn't have synergy with Magnet Doll or whatever. But it's pretty nice. There's certain times when you want to use it. And of course, if you have a whole bunch of extra cards, you could discard a bunch to give it a lot of attack. But I wouldn't recommend it. So those are the cards we use to make our rank 8s. The rest of the monsters, Card D, is just here to draw power. And then Swift Scarecrow and Battle Fader are to stall. The reason I call this a Dynamite deck is because it usually don't get your combo first turn. So what you want to do is stall and draw, and you wait, and you like a stick of dynamite with the fuse burning down, and then once it gets to the end of it, you explode for massive damage. That's the idea with this deck. So hopefully with all the draw power with Card D, we've also got Trade-In, which again lets you get your level 8s in the graveyard and lets you draw 2 cards. You're just drawing through, and hopefully you should have a Swift Scarecrow or a Battle Fader most of the time you need it. You can clear their field with Lightning Vortex, you can clear their spell traps with Twin Twister. Stoic Challenge I already explained, and then Junk Puppet. It's target a Gimmick Puppet in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only do it, it's Monster Reborn for Gimmick Puppets. You can only do it once per turn, but that's fine. So that means, like, even if you just have Magnet Dolls, or even if you just have Gear Changers, you can discard them to the graveyard because Junk Puppet will let you get them back. Alternatively, if you make, like, Gimmick Puppet of Strings, you can summon it with Junk Puppet, and it can attack and anything. Obviously, it won't have its effects because it has no material, but you could summon it. Other than that, really, the rest of this is just, like, toolbox, because, again, you don't always get your combo. Sometimes your Stoic Challenges are the last 3 cards in your deck. But the good thing about this deck is, unlike most OTK decks, that's not all it can do. It has some other options. Against stall Exodia decks, you can make Gimmick Puppet of Leo and win with his effect, because it has its own win condition. Zombie Stein is 4,500 attack, which is just a massive amount. You can also target a face-up card your opponent controls and change it to defense position and negate its effects, which is useful in some instances. Heliopolis is going to let you blow up a whole bunch of stuff by discarding cards from your hand. And again, because you have all these level 8s that you want in the graveyard, that can be pretty good. Googly Eyes Drum Dragon, he can go up to 4,000 attack. Not the greatest, but he's good because he's a machine. The thing to remember with Gearspring Spirit is you can't special summon it if you have a non-machine in your graveyard. So if you're going to stall, you generally want to stick with, like, Gimmick Puppet of Strings, or Googly Eyes, or Leo, or Sea Castle of Aegeon, which is also a machine. Oh, and Giant Puppet Grinder. Because if any of your other ones, if your Heliopolis gets destroyed, you can't use this anymore. If you go for 7 Sins and it gets destroyed because your thing doesn't work, now you have a Fiend and an Insect in the graveyard. It's not going to work. So be a little bit careful with that. But you have enough machines. Like I said, this is your beatdown. This can put string counters on things, which can destroy face-up monsters. Giant Grinder is a great way to get rid of Exci monsters and deal burn damage. And Aegeon is surprisingly interesting. It depends what you go against, and there's a little bit of luck involved, but it's pretty cool. You can banish 1 monster from your opponent's extra deck, and it gains attack equal to that. And then if your opponent summons a monster of the same type, like if they summon a Synchro monster and you banish the Synchro monster, you could return it to the extra deck to destroy their monster. So it has some utility, and again, because it's a 3,000 defense wall, because it has, because it's a machine, it won't mess up your things. So it all works out. Of course, we got Lancelot. He can attack directly, so he's sort of like your Gaga Cowboy in this deck, where, like, if you just need to do an extra 2,000, he can attack directly. He also has a Doom Caliber Knight kind of effect, where if any effect gets activated, he automatically negates it. Dragon Knight Felgrand can protect himself and negate certain effects. And then we just have the 1 Slacker Magician in case you get, like, 2 Battle Faders or a Battle Fader and a Swift Scarecrow, and you'd rather have a defense wall instead of just... Like, if you know you're going to run out of cards, you don't have anything else, you can use that. As for the side deck, well, we've got this one other level 8. A lot of people really like this Hope Harbinger Titanic Galaxy Dragon or whatever. I didn't find it particularly useful. Against Pendulum decks, it's really good, because if they activate a spell, you can negate it and equip it, and the Pendulum monsters count as spells. Otherwise, I wouldn't really recommend it. Exci Burst, this is a nice one if you're not running against, if you're running against really heavy trap decks. So if you control rank 6 or higher Exci monster, destroy all set cards your opponent controls. So if you can get this out and they're not Solemn Striked and you're worried about, like, mirror forces, there you go. Onigami combo, this is another interesting one, another potential OTK against, like, an open field if your opponent doesn't summon very many monsters, or if you wanted to go for more Raigeki Dark Hole variant. It's detach all materials from a monster, and it can attack twice in the same battle phase. So with this 4,000, obviously you can attack twice. Exci Reborn, it's a good way to get your Exci monsters back, especially if you want to get, like, these out of your graveyard. Exci Reborn, I would kind of recommend. Number Wall, actually, I almost considered this. It was a little bit too inconvenient, but when it works, it works. It's number monsters on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects or destroyed by battle. And you play a lot of numbers in this. Obviously, the 7 Sins is a number monster. Of course, it already can't be destroyed. But if you wanted to go for a more pure Gimmick Puppets build, where you wanted to use Gimmick Puppets of Strings and have him do like 6,000 damage, equip him with Stoic Challenge, this is a good way to protect him, as well as some of your other number monsters if you wanted to make more of a toolbox. Same thing, Exci Tribute Rivals, like face-up Exci monsters with 2 or more material cannot be destroyed by card effects. If an Exci monster control battles an opponent's monster, destroy that monster. Another thing, just because like sometimes you don't want to use the string counters, a lot of these are useful with their, like, they're just useful as big beat sticks, especially number 77. So just making it so it can't be destroyed, pretty good for the toolbox element of things. Finally, we have Marshaling Field, which was highly recommended to me but didn't quite work for this particular deck. But you can, once per turn, declare a level from 5 to 9. All level 5 or higher machine-type monsters are that level. So because you run nothing but machines, and they're all like level 8, you could change them to anything from 5 to 9, which opens up a whole new toolbox. If you wanted to go more toolboxy, take out the Stoic Challenge, you could throw in a whole bunch of Excis, because Marshaling Field gives you access to all those. It also, if a machine-type Exci monster would be destroyed, you could send this to the graveyard instead, and if this is sent to the graveyard, grab this rank-up Magic Agent Chaos Force. So this will not only give you more access to a toolbox, it'll stop your things from being destroyed, and it'll give you access to rank-up magic, so you have even more Excis. So that's the toolbox variety of that, is these two, and then take out the pain gainers and put in some more machine-type Excis, some more Gimmick Puppets, some more Googly Eyes. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Once again, give thanks to Lucas Wilson, the patron who suggested this deck. Next week, I should be looking at either ABC Dragon Cannon, if it's finally out of beta, or UAs, so that'll be fun. Until then, good luck, have fun.